Bienvenido and welcome. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the breastfeeding, things that I found useful and helpful during the breastfeeding experience, and I just wanted to share those things with you. I have my kind of list in front of me, so I'm just going to be going over a few things. So I'm going to start off with my Haka pump. That is one of the best things that I've found that you can use. I got two of those, one for each breast. And then of course you can get nursing pads, and the ones that I prefer right now is the bamboo nursing pad. It's reusable, so you just wash it and you just stick it inside your bra. The only, I think, downside of this is that it kind of moves around in the bra sometimes, especially after you've breastfed and there's more room. So that can be offsetting, but I ordered a pack of like 7, so one for each day of the week, and you can wash them. Usually you'll wash them before you go through the whole 7, but it comes with this like little bag. You definitely want to put these in there because you don't want them getting snagged on any of the Velcro or anything like that. So that's what I found useful. You can also get some other variants of the nursing pads. This one I think is Nukes. It's really flat. It's like a piece of wafer. I didn't like this one. It was just like having a napkin stuck in your bra. That was not comfortable. And then this one is Lancino. It's more padded. And then it has these little adhesives packs on the side that you can actually tape kind of to your inside your bra. That way it isn't moving around. So that's a nice kind of bonus feature of that one. But if you want to go kind of more reusable and sustainable, kind of earth friendly is I think the term they use nowadays, is the organic bamboo pad, and that's the one that I really like. But you do want to change them every day. They kind of get crispy like with milk otherwise. All right, so the next one I'm going to be talking about is nipple cream. So when you go to the hospital, they're going to give you something possibly like this. It's a very small tube. This one was called Medela Tender Care, and it has lanolin in it. Now, I want to personally avoid products of lanolin just because it's the wax from the wool of the sheep. The only problem with that is that it's treated with a lot of pesticides because of the high pests that get into the wool of the sheep. So I kind of don't want to put that on my nipples, especially with the baby sucking it off. What I just used an empty like little container that I'd saved from one of my other beauty products, and I just filled it with coconut oil. And so you can see I haven't used a lot of it. I found that I really needed it more during the early days of nursing when I was getting more friction. I'll talk about that more later. But this one has worked really well. You just want to be careful of not like getting it on your clothes because it does like set in your clothes and it's really hard to get the stain out. But it's very friendly for the baby to ingest, and it's very friendly on your nipples. Unless you're allergic to coconut oil, then I wouldn't recommend it, but I would definitely avoid like one of the nipple creams that does not have lanolin. The other thing you can use is your own breast milk. Like when you express some breast milk, you usually have a few drops, and you'll just rub that around the nipple, and that you're pretty good there. The next thing I want to talk about, because this was super important for me, was heat cool packs. I got these little purple ones, and they're from the same company that produces the breast pads that have the tape on the back. And I think those are, it says on the back right here, Lancino. And these can be used for various things. You can stick these in the freezer and just kind of wrap it around for when you just put it in your bra after, like if you have engorgement. This is the Lancino Purple Bead Breast Pack. You can use this in various ways. You can stick this in the freezer. If you do stick it in the freezer, or if you heat it up, either one, they usually come with this like little pack that you can just put it in. And this one actually comes with this really cool little snap feature. You can see the little snap buttons, and you can snap it so it forms more of a cone. You don't like want it laying flat. It's gonna kind of cup your breast, kind of just like a bra cup. And so the cold part of this is used just for if you have engorgement, which is you usually will during like the first week of breastfeeding because your body's getting used to it. And so you just use this, you put it in the freezer and just put it in the pack because you don't want that extreme cold on your sensitive breast tissue. You do want like a little bit of a shield there. The same thing with the heat. You can stick it in the microwave. Just make sure you put it in your little cover, and you can again put it on your breast. This can also be used to like stimulate more milk flow. But this was extremely useful. I used these a lot, especially during the first few weeks of breastfeeding, not so much now, but as a beginning breastfeeding mom, I definitely recommend those. The other things that I recommend was this like little Zongs nursing ball, and this can be multi-purpose use. You can use it for your shoulders, your back, lower back pain, especially like if you're in labor. I took these with me to the hospital. The other thing you can use them for is massaging your breasts, and this is something that you will need to do, especially if you deal with engorgement, which you probably will in the first week or two of breastfeeding. But you just roll it back and forth kind of in a circular motion. And so a lot of girls, myself included, when we first started out breastfeeding, I wasn't really aware of how my breast was made up. I did some research, I had done some research. I wasn't like going into it completely blind, but there are some things that you learn as you go. And so a lot of times you kind of visualize your breast more like this. This is little bulb syringe, but you view it as like you have this milk capacity right here, and then it's expressed through the nipple. When in reality, if you replace the bulb with like the roots of a tree, that would be more adequate in describing your breast. So when you're producing milk, you have the roots of the tree right here, and it has the milk glands, and so that's when you sometimes will encounter plugged ducts. But that's just a visual for you. So if you look at it, it's not like a reservoir of breast milk that's in this like little bulb inside your breast. It's actually, you have the milk glands, and it's like just the roots of a tree. You have to kind of massage it out until it is expressed. So with that, I also used a few other items. I used, to start out with, this one is my breast friend. It's like the twin one. It does have this like little back support right here, which is really nice. It has this pocket piece that you can store like extra breast pads in there, your nipple cream, anything like that. It's pretty easy to use. And if your baby was born really small like mine was, it kind of gives you a little bit more courage to hold the baby. One thing I kind of struggled with at the beginning was good posture during my breastfeeding experience, just because he was so small. It was kind of difficult to lift him up to breastfeed him. And so I used this a lot just to try to help with my posture, because I was like kind of just slouching and trying to feed him. And that's not really the best way to do it. So you can just Velcro it or clip it on. Just like position it kind of like that, and you can lay the baby across. Try some different holds. So you can try them in football, a football hold where you have their head facing your breast and then the rest of their body along my arm. Or you can have them like this with their head once again facing the breast and their body going diagonally across your body. And this one was really, like I said, useful for me because my baby was born so small. It did give me courage to kind of hold him and do the breastfeeding thing, because he was a little bit small for comfort. Later on in my breastfeeding experience, I was able to switch to this boppy, and it's definitely less cumbersome. And once again, you just kind of wrap it around your middle. There's no straps, there's no back support. Kind of at this point, you really don't need it because you are getting like more confidence in breastfeeding. But this was really useful still. And then now I can kind of breastfeed him without those extra helps. I would say for the first month of breastfeeding, I was like using those every single time I would breastfeed, just because it was difficult to like hold him, and you're so rigid and stiff trying to like position it and make sure it's all in the right way and the baby is latching and everything like that. So you get really sore breastfeeding. You can use various things for a nursing bra, but we will talk about that later. Mostly the ones I use are just really stretchy. They kind of grow and shrink as you grow and shrink, as you express more milk or as you start getting more milk into your breasts. The other thing that I use for after I've expressed my milk in my Haakaa breast pump, I use the biodegradable bags that came with it, and you can order them with it, or you can use the disposable ones. I kind of wanted to be a little bit more earth friendly, so I got these BPA plastic ones, and it's just like a little stopper. So you can fill it up. There's like little lines to tell you how many fluid ounces or milliliters, depending on where you're from. And then you just put that back in. And for storing, it can be pretty easy to store. You just want to squeeze all the air out. After you're done washing it and after it's completely dried, you just put the stopper back in, and then you can just wrap the little plastic piece around it again. And it's this really small, like travel size friendly package. But when you fill it up with milk, you just want to shake it a little bit, because some of the, I guess, the cream and the minerals, nutrients kind of get separated from the more liquid part of the milk. And so you just kind of want to squeeze the air out a little bit, put the stopper in, and then you can put it in the freezer. It does come with these like little cardboard labels. I didn't like them. They don't really stick on very well, so I do like recommend a masking tape on them and just put it like right here with the date that you pumped. So that's that. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about breastfeeding. So some things that I really wasn't prepared for was that when you first start breastfeeding, you will experience like period cramps. It's like not only period cramps, but kind of contraction cramps. And basically when you breastfeed, you're also helping your uterus shrink and go back to normal and get pulled up to where it was originally before you got pregnant. So it does hurt the most in the first couple of days, and it's pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. So I did take Tylenol during the time where I was breastfeeding, and I would get those very intense like cramps, and that seems to help a little bit. Eventually it does kind of like go away and you don't experience them as much. I think I'm a month and a half breastfeeding, and I still get them every once in a while, but they're definitely, it's just like a twinge of pain. It's not extremely uncomfortable or like noticeable as before it was like almost agonizing. So the other thing is that if it hurts when the baby latches, I thought I was a bad mom if I broke the latch and tried to get him to relatch to where it was more comfortable for me. And I found out a couple weeks later that that is not necessarily true. It's not true at all, actually. You're not a bad mom if you break the baby's latch and you get them to latch a different way. Basically, if you have pain when they latch, and there's going to be some pain during breastfeeding, especially during the first couple weeks. Eventually, it gets a lot better, but initially, if you are experiencing intense pain or pain when they latch, it's because their latch is incorrect, and so they are struggling to kind of hang on to the nipple and keep feeding. So sometimes their little gums just like clamp around the nipple and they're really sucking as hard as they can, so you're experiencing a lot more friction, a lot more unpleasant feelings, and that's why sometimes it's just better just to break the latch, help them relatch. If there's pain, it's usually an indicator that something's wrong. You need to fix it. And then once again, just like consult your lactation consultant. Usually they are there at the hospital and they might do some follow-up calls with you. I think I got one follow-up call after I was sent home, but I was doing pretty good at that point and I didn't like need further follow-up calls. Now with the breast milk, your first expression is colostrum, and colostrum is higher in protein, vitamins, minerals, immunoglobulin, antibodies for passive immunity. So it's very crucial that the baby gets this. It's gonna kind of be a little bit clear, yellowish, maybe a little bit milky, and that happens, I believe, the first like couple of days. Eventually your breast milk changes and it becomes it still has this yellowish tinge, but it definitely becomes a different consistency and the general makeup of it is different. The other thing they didn't really tell me is when the baby first has a bowel movement, it's called meconium, and it's this like thick, really dark, ultra sticky tar-like substance that sticks to their skin when they go in their diaper, and it's super hard to get off. Take it from me, don't just use a plain wipe. A plain wipe is too smooth. It does not like pull that tar substance off very well. And you want to get your baby kind of diapered as quickly as possible, just because they're stressed enough, and any extra thing you do to them is more stressful for them because they just got born and they're not used to having everything being done to them. So we used just like a warm wet rag and just like wiped their little bottom, and that cleaned them faster and better than a wipe did. So just a thought there. Later, as that initial poop leaves their system, and it should be in a couple of days, but their bowel movements will definitely be more yellow. It'll be kind of like a mustard color, kind of seedy, definitely more smooth and liquidy. It's not going to be real pasty and stick to their bottom. It's going to just be a little bit more fluid-like. So I want to talk about a little bit more about the engorgement versus mastitis. If you've probably heard both of these, especially if you listen to any stories from nursing moms. But what engorgement is that the breast tissue overflows with milk, blood, and other fluids. Do not pump. I'm going to say this again. Do not pump in the first 2 or 3 weeks at the very least after beginning your breastfeeding. I did that and I damaged some of my breast tissue because it was premature. It wasn't just milk that had made my breast become so engorged and so big and heavy and swollen. It was extra blood, it was extra fluid, it was some of the swelling just from the beginning trauma of breastfeeding. So do not try to pump. It will not go well for you, more than likely, unless your genetic makeup is much different than mine and the majority of other women. Try to pump probably after the first month, I would say. And you can probably pump maybe week 4 if you're starting to drip a lot. But that is what engorgement is. And then with mastitis, it's milk ducts and glands that are inflamed, and you may need at that time antibiotics, especially if you get this, it's really hot, you get fevers, flu-like symptoms, these red streaks going through your breasts. That's mastitis. You need to go to the doctor and get that taken care of because it's very hard to manage at home on your own. But engorgement is the first process before you get to mastitis. So if you have engorgement, which is your breast is hot, sometimes it's swollen, but there's no blood, you don't have flu-like symptoms, it's not like red streaks going down the skin of your breast, and it's just really sensitive and hard. I told my husband, it's like, it feels like I just had plastic surgery done. Not that I've ever had it done, but I imagine that's how it was because it was just super heavy and super hard and big, and that's just engorgement. Take the measures to make sure it doesn't turn into mastitis. And some other things I did use the breast pump, but not for pumping milk. What I did was I would fill it with warm water. You don't want it super hot because you don't want to boil your nipple. Your nipple is super sensitive. Your breast is really sensitive. So you don't want to do that. Just tolerably warm water. You can use either table salt, sea salt, or an Epsom salt. Put some of that in there, and then you're just going to attach it to your breast, and I will show you how to do that in a little bit. But that really helps draw out some of the milk ducts, especially if you have clogged ones. This is also where you want to do some of that massaging. You can either use the ball and go kind of just in a circular motion all up and down like that, or you can use your hands. If you're really big, you don't want to squeeze it like that. It's just too much pressure. As you empty out, you can get a bigger handhold and more pressure. But if you're really engorged, you just want to, if you feel little lumps in your breast, you just want to massage them out. It's a circular motion, and then push towards your nipple. And don't do it to where it hurts. It might hurt a little bit, but it shouldn't be agonizingly painful. So you're gonna do that, and that will help a lot. If neither one of those really seem to help, or hot showers was something that really helped me, but your milk will kind of drain from your breast. So it's breast milk kind of going down the drain, quite literally. So if you can, put the baby onto nurse more often. As the baby is nursing, if you feel the lumps in your breast, massage them out, push and towards the nipple, towards your baby's mouth, to kind of get those milk ducts unplugged. And then sometimes if you have a lot of milk ducts plugged, which I did, you will get milk blebs or milk blisters on your breasts. It's uncomfortable, it's painful, but they will clear up normally on their own in a couple of days. So some of the things that I said that will help, like I said, was Tylenol, ice and heat therapy, or a warm shower. Feed the baby often, mostly on the most painful breast. Use saltwater therapy in the Haakaa, massage while nursing. If the latch hurts, it's okay to relatch. Like I said, it does not make you a bad mom if you interrupt the baby's feeding. It's perfectly okay. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about how to attach the pump. I have this like little inflatable balloon that I blew up, so you can soft attach it is what I call, where you squeeze it and you just put it over the nipple and the base or the top of your breast, and you let go. And as you can see, this is kind of how your breast nipple will look like after you've attached it. It's pretty firm. It's not gonna come off very easily. Now, if you want a stronger attachment, like say you're going to be in the shower or your baby happens to kick a lot and it kicks the pump off with its feet, you can fold it like this. All right, we're back. I had to go because my baby was hungry and my husband's like, we need to feed him. So I had to tie up my hair because my baby's at that stage in life where he likes to grab and pull and his little fingers just get entangled and it's painful. So anyway, I just put it up in a quick bun. But to get back to the process of attaching your Haakaa breast pump to your breast for the pumping experience, you can do the soft attach, which is you just squeeze the base of your Haakaa pump. You set it firmly against. You don't want your cloth, like your dress or your bra or anything, getting it like underneath there, because you want it to be like a firm, solid attachment. But you're gonna release and it's gonna stick to your breast. You can do like squeeze it a little bit at the base of the pump just for a little bit of suction. You don't want to do this the whole time, just a little bit, just to start off the pumping, and then just leave it like that. It's pretty firmly attached. If you want to attach it in a more firm manner, you will fold down the flange to where it looks like this, and it's pretty easy to do. Once again, you're going to squeeze it. You're going to set it against the base of your breast, and you're going to kind of let it settle back in. As you can see, it pulled the breast, or in this case a balloon, further down, and so it's a lot stronger of a suction, especially if you're going to like shower. If your baby kicks a lot while they're nursing, this would be maybe a better way of attaching the Haakaa breast pump. Most of the times I just found like a soft attach instead of the hard attach works well for me. But to break the suction of the Haakaa, just put your finger, and this goes with the baby's mouth too. If they're done feeding and they're just like pinching instead, just take your finger, go in the corner, and just kind of work your way through to the suction, and it will come right off. Okay, let's talk about milk letdowns. So milk letdowns are when your milk just like flows very freely. You get stimulated enough to where it just pours forth. If your baby is like choking, and if they like pull off the breast and they're like and like very traumatized, I mean, they won't remember it, but you know, you don't want them always choking. They just ingest a lot more air, and then it makes them more gassy. It's just not worth it. So if you notice that you're getting a lot of milk letdowns and the baby's having a hard time staying latched and like it's coughing and having a hard time feeding, just lean back. Leaning back will help a little bit with just with the gravity of the milk, like kind of going farther back, so it's not like pouring forth because of the gravity. If you're just pumping it exclusively, or the baby has a really good latch and it is not being troubled with milk letdowns, you can lean forward, and it does help like the milk to express faster and easier. But that's what I wanted to share with the Haakaa breast pump. Now with the nursing bra, like I wear kind of regular sports bra. It's very stretchy. I can just pull it down and it works really well. One thing, ladies, that I would love to share with you is get a nursing cloth and kind of tuck it underneath your, like over your bra, but underneath it like this. So when you pull down your bra, you want to like put this over it, because if your baby is a messy eater, or even if they like break the latch during mid-feeding, you'll have a lot of milk trickling down, and you don't want to wet your bra, you don't want to wet your clothes, especially if you're out running errands or if you're at church or anything like that. Just use that and just make sure that it's just your skin, and then the nursing pad to cover any of your clothing so that you don't get milk everywhere, because it's not comfortable to wear wet clothing with breast milk. But just want to share that with you. It took me a couple weeks to learn that, and I found that it was really useful. Now, if you are like me, you will forget what side of the breast that you nursed your baby on. As you progress further in your nursing, less likely to happen, because you can definitely tell which breast is full. But if you have an engorgement where both of your breasts are very hard and very full, and it's difficult to tell which one you nursed them on, I just kept like a little hair tie on my wrist, like that. And every time I switched breasts to feed the baby, I would just switch it to the next hand. So whenever I went to nurse the baby, I just had to look at my hand. Okay, I need to feed on this side. So I would feed on this side. And that's something that I found useful too, just because I couldn't remember, especially in the middle of the night. It's really hard to remember what side you fed them on. So unless you have kind of like a telltale remark, or you're keeping notes on your phone or on a piece of paper so you can look at it and be like, okay, I just fed them on the left side. I recommend just a hair tie. It's super easy. Hair tie, a bracelet, however you want to do it. So with a nursing bra, you definitely want to make sure you find something that's stretchy, it's breathable. Avoid underwires, the little wire that goes under here to kind of push everything up. You don't want those. They will cause milk ducts to be plugged, milk glands to be traumatized. You don't want that. So something stretchy. It can be supportive, but you don't want the wire right there. At least I didn't. You may be different, but for me, I did not want that underwire. And then nothing that's really tight and compressive. If you use something that's really tight, it kind of acts as a tourniquet and it cuts off your milk supply to where it's like you're not needing to express milk. You don't want that to happen, especially if you are trying to breastfeed and trying to have a milk supply of any sort. So don't use compression. Now, that being said, if you are breastfeeding on one side and you are getting a milk let down on the other, you can put your hand over your breast and like kind of push a little bit, not really hard, but just some compression just to stop the milk expression. I think that's it. I hope your breastfeeding journey is successful. If you need any more like tips or videos, I am more than happy to help. Every breastfeeding journey is definitely different. What works for me may not work for you. These are just things that I personally found helpful, and I hope that they help you in some small way. So thank you, and enjoy the breastfeeding experience with your baby.